Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are talking about how shorts can break at any time, why we will never stop, how liquidations are happening right now, and many more in this video. First, we're taking a look at this. Shorts had to bring a staggering 77% of all AMC trades off exchange in order to drop the price 1 cent. Their strategy seems to be pretty fragile. As for myself, I hodl and buy some. From all I can tell, this could break at any moment. So if you take a look at the dark pool exchange for AMC today, what you're looking at is 77.14%, and for NYSE only 7.87%. Now this went on throughout the day, and you pretty much expected what was obviously happening. But the interesting part about this is understanding that AMC only dropped by 2 cents today from yesterday's closing. Now this was done by 77% off exchange. Now, something that we've always known and understood is that most of the trades in off exchange are actually buy orders. So we've known that these institutions are constantly stealing our buy orders so that it doesn't actually affect the market. So that no matter how many shares we buy, it wouldn't have that positive impact on AMC. And that's what they constantly do in order to make sure that AMC doesn't go up 10%, 15%, 50% in a singular day, because they understand the powers that apes have. Now, when you understand this and you see the fact that despite they are abusing dark pool, AMC only dropped 0.69%, only dropped 0.02 in price, it shows that even whilst they're abusing dark pool, they're failing to keep us down right now. The buys for AMC are still constantly coming through. People, no matter if it's institutions, no matter if it's apes or just the general retail, we all understand the potentials for AMC. We understand the investment value for AMC, and hence why we are still buying. And with that, we are actually over trumping the off exchange pool that's obviously happening for AMC right now. And so you can see that even with dark pool, they're failing to keep AMC down. And as this goes on and on and on, where they don't have those resources anymore, when the liquidity runs dry, that's when you'll see AMC break out, and that's when you'll see all of these shorts crumble. You can then see that. So firstly, they obviously abused the dark pool so that to make sure the price doesn't obviously get positively impacted. And then you're seeing a lot of after hours volume. So the same typical things obviously still happening for AMC. Firstly, during the day, they're routing orders into the dark pool so that it doesn't have an effect on price. Then for the ones who want to buy shares of AMC, whether some institutions, whether there's some short sellers who need to flip their positions or reset their positions, they then buy it after hours on AMC so that it further increases the fact that it doesn't have any effect on the price of AMC whatsoever. Right now, what we are seeing for AMC is everyone wants shares of AMC, going from short sellers, from just normal institutions, from the general retail to the apes. Essentially, the consensus on AMC is right now is that everyone wants to buy. However, for the shorts and for some certain institutions, they want to buy AMC obviously as cheaply as possible, and they don't want AMC price to go up. You can understand that. For the shorts, they obviously don't want AMC price to go up because that means that their short position will be in a bigger loss. And right now, for them to buy some shares of AMC, it's obviously cheaper right now. For the institutions who just wants to accumulate AMC, they obviously wants to make sure that they can accumulate as much AMC as possible at the cheapest price possible, at the cheapest price available. And so that's why we're seeing all of these happening, whether it's for the dark pool, whether it's the after hour. But the things that we have to take away from here is just how much AMC is sought after, how desperately these institutions and short sellers all want AMC right now. They all realize the investment opportunity for AMC. And then is why we always talk about the dark pool. Now, I know we mention it in every video, but it's very, very important. It's because for anyone who's watching this, for anyone, whether they're old or whether they're new to this, you need to understand obviously what's happening. And you can see, you should never stop talking about the market fraud, the naked shorting, and the staggering of exchange trading. The mob wants to bore you. Rest assured that the awareness that circulates among the 0.01% of people can reach 100% one day because of you, never stop. And that's why we constantly see apes obviously talking about it on Twitter, is why I make these videos, is to make sure that everyone understands what is going on. When you look at AMC and you look at its price from a normal person's perspective, if they don't have any understanding of what's actually going on, they may just think that AMC is a bad fundamentals company that no one's willing to buy, that everyone is selling, and that's why the price is dropping. But then if you obviously do your due diligence, when you firstly take a look at the fundamentals, you will understand that actually AMC shouldn't be at where it's at right now, but in fact a lot higher. And then you may be confused of, if that is the case, why is it so low? Why is it decreasing? And that's because of everything we just talked about, with the constant dark pools, with the constant after hours. And we have to make sure that everyone understands that, because you have to realize we are facing this on a daily basis, every single day. And we have to obviously be aware of that. And for the ones who are new to this is obviously what we are facing as an AMC investor. But then you will understand that when we beat these guys, you can just imagine what's going to happen. And then you can see that peculiar change of AMC max pain and slow price drop, a flagrant attempt to make people sell. Added some 1800 last week and prepared to add more. So then we see that recently the max pain has obviously gone down, and we talked about how short sellers are trying to bring it down to that max pain once again, because when AMC price ends above the max pain, these short sellers are in fact being hurt, and so that's what they're trying to bring it down. But another reason they're trying to bring it down is obviously the further they can decrease the price, in their mind, in their head, is that it increases the possibility of apes leaving. However, we can't stress this enough, they're obviously doing the very opposite. When they bring the price down in hopes of the apes selling, what actually is happening is that apes are buying. And that's why you can see it's getting more and more difficult for the short sellers to do anything right now. We talked about 77% off exchange, yet the price only went down 2 cents. You can see how difficult it is for the short sellers right now. Now, this is just one side of the difficulties for these short sellers. They're facing so many problems right now that we don't even have to worry about. The short sellers are all scrambling right now, because you can take a look at here. Now you see why crypto was liquidated across the board on Sunday, but this doesn't just apply to crypto. This is talking about the reverse repo. We're seeing it hit $28 billion. Now, essentially what you have to understand is that reverse repo is just the easiest access of liquidity these short sellers and institutions can gain access to. Now, as we're seeing the reverse repo drying up to zero, as we're seeing these easy liquidity that once, topped $2 trillion, now at $28 billion, you realize that they're struggling to find the money to short AMC, to suppress AMC. And so you can see the correlation of reverse repo dropping, any loans for these short sellers dropping, and then the difficulties of suppressing AMC increasing, right? And so we understand that as we see more and more of these easy liquidity going away and drying up, the short sellers are going to have a hard time trying to suppress us. And with all of that happening, when we start buying even more shares of AMC, it then puts that, even more pressure on these short sellers. And so that's why they're desperate right now to hope and beg you to sell your AMC shares, because they can't afford to do this anymore. It costs them money to rehypothecate shares. It costs them money to create all of these swaps and FTDs. It costs them money to even finance the existing short positions. And all of that, it's obviously eating into their capital when they're already struggling to gain even more capital. As for the apes, like we've said, it doesn't cost us any money on holding our shares. The only money it costs us is the initial investment purchase of AMC shares. And then after that, it's just a very smooth journey, or, it's just a easy and relaxed and calm ride in terms of just sitting back and see the shorts panic and unfold and crumbling down with everything they've done in the past. And then we also talked about the US margin debt. You can see it's at all-time high. I can hold longer than you can stay solvent comes to mind. And so we talked about reverse repo drying up to zero. We talked about the desperations. We talked about how these short sellers are failing to bring AMC down. And then you can see the margin depth going higher and higher. And so once again, you can see reverse repo going down, and then they are in need of money. Hence why the margin depth is going up, because there was once $2 trillion of reverse repo, now at 28. And so they need to borrow money. And it's the question, why are they in desperate need of borrowing money if they supposedly are doing so well, if they supposedly are making so much money? And then the answer to that question is, they're not making money. They're trapped in this play. And the only way for them to not blow up as of right now is to make more money, is to borrow more money, and is to then throw it in this burning, flame, and just hope that it doesn't explode on them. And that's what they're hoping for. But yeah, guys, as always, now this is a financial advisor. Do take a wise grain of salt. Make sure you do your own due diligence research, and I'll catch you guys next time.